Hello everybody, my name is Song and welcome to today's video. We are doing something that's near and dear to my heart. We are gonna be ranking all the Star Wars movies and TV shows. So let's get straight into it, starting with the original trilogy. Alright, so New Hope. This might be a controversial take, but I think The New Hope is A tier because it's an older and clunkier movie, and it still does a good job. It does a good job establishing the universe. Darth Vader's menacing, but it's just me. Like, I didn't grow up watching the original trilogy. I grew up with the prequel trilogy, so I'm a little less harsh on those. But I still really like A New Hope. It has some problems with it and some technical problems because they didn't have a lot of budget, but it's still a very good movie, and so I have to give it props for what it did. It laid the groundworks. It's amazing, but I would say I had to give it A tier. Onward to the next one, Empire Strikes Back, I say is S tier. It's a good movie. It's like one of the most amazing movies. Like, it's everything you could ask for in a Star Wars movie. You start the movie and it just keeps going, you know, and it leads to the training of Luke and all of that, and he finally versus Vader, you know, on Cloud City, and we get the most iconic lines like, "No, Luke, I am your father," which is amazing. It's such, I wish, you know, I grew up knowing Darth Vader was Anakin, but I cannot imagine their reaction in the theaters, which is reaction ever. I cannot wait until I have kids because I want them. I'm gonna start with the original trilogy. I want to start with the prequels, but I want to see their face when they're like, "What? Like, Darth Vader is Luke's like dad?" Like I cannot wait for that. That's amazing. So it's a good movie, and the you know, battle between Vader and Luke is amazing, so it is an S tier. Next, Return of Jedi, also S tier. It's real good. I love it because it starts, and you know, you see how Luke's training has become. Luke is an amazing like, you know, we see his character arc into it. He's an amazing Jedi, you know, and the way he redeems Darth Vader at the end, amazing. The fight scenes, amazing. That duel at the end is one of my favorite, if not favorite, of all time. A lot of people don't like the Ewoks. I think they're fine. They're like, they're okay. They don't distract from the movie too much, but it's really, really good, and I loved it. And so with that, wrap up the original trilogy and onward to the sequel trilogy. Not sequel trilogy, geez, the prequel trilogy. I keep messing your stuff up. Don't yeah. Okay, so first one, Phantom Menace, amazing. You know, you have Darth Vader, not Darth Maul. I'm mixing up my stuff now. Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn. You can see old Obi-Wan, and you know, the dual fates, like one of the best OSTs all of Star Wars. I loved it. It's such a good one, and the action is just like, you go and like the action scenes were great. You know, that's like the fastest one, like, you know, Star Wars has moved. You know, like, I cannot, like, you know, fans probably freaking out after seeing the original, like all this, and the double bladed lightsaber was such a cool idea. I think it was great. It's a good movie. There's some problems too with it, but I still think it's amazing. It's a great movie. And also, I didn't think Jar Jar Binks was that bad. A lot of people hate Jar Jar Binks, but he's not that bad, so it's like, eh. Okay, now Attack of the Clones. I'll still say it's A tier. I don't think it's a B tier, but if it was B tier, it would be because of Anakin's lines. Anakin's lines are so bad in this movie. Like, I always joke that like George Lucas has never talked to a woman in his life, which is funny because he has a wife and kids, but yet he doesn't know how to write like romantic lines. Like, I don't like Sand, and like the way he looks, it's just, I cringe thinking about it. But the movie doesn't have a lot of saving graces. And Jango Fett, the Battle of Geonosis, like the clones, I love the clones. They're like my favorite, you know, army in all of Star Wars. So it has a lot of saving graces, and it introduced Count Dooku. So I can't give it that harsh of a critic, but you know, I would say A tier. On to the next movie, Revenge of the Sith, my personal favorite movie. It's so good. You start off, the action just goes. It's like Empire Strikes Back. Like you go, the action has started. And it doesn't. It slows down a little bit, but it doesn't fully stop. You have Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship that's further developed. And you see the tragic downfall of Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader, and it's heartbreaking. The Battle of Mustafar is one of the best fights. No, it is like the best fight of the whole series. Not choreographically, but like just the emotional weight behind it. It's like it rivals and it surpasses the original Vader versus Luke, and I'm glad it ended off with that. And it's just a good movie. I love the prequel era, and it's my favorite. So onward to the next thing. We have Clone Wars. Clone Wars, I'd have to say, is definitely, I'm sorry, but it definitely is above The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Like, the whole series is good because you see it helps build Anakin's character and the Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. It introduces Ahsoka, who is like one of the best Jedi of all time. Her character, from annoying to one of the most beloved characters, is amazing. Dave Filoni does an amazing job with Ahsoka, and the ending with victory and death as Ahsoka and Rex buries the clones still hurts me today. And funny enough, I didn't think about this. When this video comes out, it'll be May the 4th, so it'd be exactly a year, I believe, whenever that final episode aired, and it still hurts a lot. Hearing the victory and death, and then seeing Vader come and pick up the lightsaber. Oh man, that gets me emotional. Emotional damage. But yes, so I think Clone Wars is like the best of the best of like Star Wars, what Star Wars has to offer. Onward to the next one. We have Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars Rebels. Okay. Star Wars Rebels is amazing because I recently went back and rewatched it, and it does a good job of blending both eras of the original and the prequels, having aesthetics of the originals, and like blending some stuff with the prequels, having Ahsoka return, and like you love all the characters. I personally love all the characters: Ezra, Kanan, Sabine, Hera, Chopper, the biggest Menace, and Zeb are such amazing characters, and you love their dynamics. They're so good, and each character goes through their own phase, other than Chopper because he's the droid, but like all of them go through their own character development and character growth. And at the end, also having Thrawn as a villain is amazing. Grand Inquisitor is an amazing villain, but at the end, with Ezra sacrifice himself, from a boy who could only care about himself and couldn't care about others, to one sacrificing everything for his new family and for his planet, is an amazing character growth, and I love it. It's such a good thing. And so Rebels, if you haven't seen it, give it a try. It's slept on a lot because people say it's too kiddish, but it's one of the best series of all time. So onward to, we'll do into the sequel trilogy. Actually, we'll rank this movie. We'll rank the movies in between. So Solo, a Star Wars movie, I think is a B tier movie. It's good, but it's a good fun movie. I watched it once. I haven't watched it again, so this is from my memories from a few years ago, but I think I have against it is that Han Solo feels too much like the character we know. He has no character arc. He is this, we don't have him going from an amateur smuggler to the one, the legendary smuggler we know today. He's always the smooth talking, gets out of any situation smuggler, and just gets lucky, and I don't like that because he should have had to learn to become a better smuggler, but it feels like from the very beginning, it's just like you take Harrison Ford's and you make him younger basically, and it's like voila, you got him. Nothing about his character has changed. He's always been the same, and he always will stay the same. He has more of a character arc in the original, so I didn't like it. That's kind of whatever. Next one, Rogue One, I think is an A-tier movie. Rogue One is so good. All the characters are fun and interesting. They work well together, even though they've only kind of ragtag team, kind of shoved together. And it also is very, I noticed like a lot of the prequel era movies are very emotional damage because, you know, I don't know, it's just something that has it. But it is such a heart-wrenching story, having, you know, the characters pave way for Luke and them, you know, and the ending with Darth Vader going down the hallway cutting that was such a cool scene. I can still remember when we're in the theaters watching it, and, you know, when we heard the briefing, I remember someone was like, oh my gosh, like, you just like hear all gas, you heard the briefing, you knew it was over, like, you know, you're like, oh flip, all those guys are gonna die. And it was such a good movie. It was such a good experience in the theaters, and I loved it. So I would say it's an A-tier movie. We'll do this. So now onward to the sequel trilogy. So first off, Force Awakens might be a controversial take, but I think Force Awakens is an A-tier movie. It does a lot of good setup. You introduce Rey, and you want to know who she is. You have Finn, like an ex-stormtrooper. You have Han Solo and Chewie coming back. Poe is great. BB-8 is fun. And Kylo Ren is a really good character, very interesting, and you know, and I think he's great. I loved his character arc in the movies. I wish it was just done a little better. It's a little clunky mess, but Kylo Ren is an amazing character, and this movie does a very good job at laying the groundwork for the upcoming movies. But sadly, the upcoming movies will not do much for the groundwork. But onwards, next is Star Wars Resistance. I have not watched it. I heard it's not that good. It has some cool scenes I've seen here and there, but other than that, it's like so I haven't watched it too much. So yeah, let's just move on. Star Wars Last Jedi. Oh man, this one's gonna make me angry. I want to say D tier, maybe F tier, because like I'll do F tier. I'll explain why. Like, a lot of people I recently have come out and defend it, and that's you're okay. If you like it, I don't fault you. You could like whatever, as long as you're not hating against other people who do like or do not like the movie. I'm totally fine with your opinion, as long as you don't call people names, be toxic. I don't care. If this is your favorite movie, that's fine. It's just not mine. It has a lot of good scenes, like cool, like cinematic shots. Like, they never miss it. The OST is good, all that. My favorite fight is when they're fighting in the throne room against all those royal guards. It looked really cool. I thought it was amazing. But it's just like, I don't like the way they handled Luke's character, you know, how they just like nothing really mattered. I felt like there was no consequences really, right? I felt like really it just didn't really go anywhere. Rey didn't really train. I hated like where like Luke, this is one thing that really makes me angry, is that Luke, you know, he felt like darkness in Ben, so he used the Force to connect, and he said, I felt like the darkest, most evil thing I've ever felt in my life. And the first thing he thought was to activate his lightsaber to kill him. I think I remember he said that in a moment of weakness, which is fine. Luke isn't meant to be perfect, but why would you your first instinct is to kill your nephew? But when you fought your father, you refused to kill him. And Darth Vader is arguably worse. Like, I think I don't have a whole bunch of knowledge from the comics, but at this point, I do not think Kylo Ren had killed anybody. And if he did, there's no way he killed as much and did as many horrendous crimes as Darth Vader did. And yet he didn't sense any sort of light or good. I don't know. It's just like, it was really weird. And like, I understand why, like, if something like that happened and you failed, of course you would go into exile, but I just think the way it happened was stupid. And so at the end of the movie, nothing really happens. Like, the next movie begins and it's like nothing, like, you could erase the movie and like nothing like, other than lightsaber breaking, literally almost nothing happens. I hate it. On to the next movie, Rise of Skywalker. Controversial, but I think it's a lot better than The Last Jedi, so I'm putting a C tier. I don't think it's quite B tier, but I don't think it's D tier or F tier. I know there's a lot of wrong with movies, but when I watched it, I went in with, you know, super low expectations. Dude, excuse me. Super low expectations, because Last Jedi just brought it down all the way to here. Did not really care, and I was like, I'm gonna go in and I think I'm gonna enjoy the movie. Whatever, it's a Star Wars movie. I love Star Wars, and I had fun times. A lot of people complain a lot of stuff, like they complain about the dialogue, like somehow Palpatine returned, but he returned in the comics. But you know, no one, I haven't heard anybody complain that he returned in the, not comics, in Legends. No one complains about that, right? But they complain about it in here. And they complain it's bad dialogue. If you want to complain about dialogue, all these movies, like arguably, you know, like, you know, the prequels probably had worse dialogue, or even the original. Every Star Wars movie, you could pick out bad dialogue, but no one wants to say that. So I think it's C tier. Really good fights. Like, I love the fight with Rey and Kylo Ren on the planet with the Death Star, which was stupid, because I do understand, like, when it fired, like, you know, it went everywhere, sure, whatever, it like launched into space, but I hate that, like, the little Ray finder like matches it. It's right there. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing. Like, how did the whatever, I won't talk into it. Like, that's stupid. That's the part that I think was dumb, but it at least ended off, you know, with, you know, all that. And haters could hate. Rey is a Skywalker. Fight me on it, because if you don't think she's a Palpatine, I'm like, okay, then if that's the case, that means all the clone troopers can't go by what names they want to be, because they were given, you know, a number, you know, CT 45 whatever, right? You can't call them. You can't call Captain Rex. Like, it's whatever. It's because she had a relationship with Leia and Luke, and they're important figures. So whatever, you know, she's a Skywalker. If she inherits the name, I think she'll do good with it. People would just want to hate on the sequels because they want to hate the sequels, but I think it's okay. Phrase of Skywalker doesn't bother me too much. And on to the final thing that's on this list, at least, Mandalorian. Mandalorian is a amazing series. Dave Filoni does such a good job with this, taking, you know, a new character and making him a household name. That's crazy, right? You know, bounty hunter, Mandalorian, like setting it all up is such a good story, and showing between the original and the sequels, right? Showing like the beginnings of like the New Republic, and, you know, having, you know, Baby Yoda, amazing. Baby Yoda, I was gonna say carries the show, but that's not true. But it does bring in a lot of people. I watched it with my parents. My mom loves Baby Yoda, and Baby Yoda is amazing. He's super cute. Don't get me wrong, I love Baby Yoda too, but it does such a good show. It's like, it does everything so good, just like character driven, and there's no real like goal. I guess there was a goal, like to bring, you know, Yoda back to his people, but I mean, he finally did. In the ending, whenever he gave him to Luke, and when Luke appeared, was such a cool thing. You see how far Luke's training has become, taking down all those dark troopers, was amazing. Such a good, like, I, you know, got chills watching it the first time. It's such a good scene, such a good sequence. I think it's amazing. And it's not on here, but my finger won't go through. Yeah, my finger won't through. But if Book of Boba Fett, I would put it, I think I would put it here at A tier, above you know, episode 2, Attack of the Clones. A lot of people will hate me on this, but Book of Boba Fett made me care for Boba Fett. I didn't care about him before. I was like, oh, okay, he's cool. Him and Jango Fett are cool. Like, they're cool characters, but there's really much. They're just like a faceless bounty hunter that looks and acts cool. And, you know, Boba Fett at least does more than Jango Fett, but like, other than the Mandalorian, like, they don't have anything that Din Djarin has, you know. But Book of Boba Fett really good because it added character, it added depth, like who he is, what he wants, and like his character arc from, you know, we get a bit of him in the Clone Wars, that it finally comes to fruition, that he just wants a place to belong, a place for people to care for him. That, you know, all these years he was just trying to find a place, but he was like kind of taking his anger out, you know, revenge, whatever. He was finally has just got tired of it, and he wants to establish something, and I think that's great. And it really made me care and love Boba Fett's character, and he's one of my favorite characters now. The only thing I would say against the show that stops it from bringing it up to S tier is the sequential order of his flashbacks. I hated that they kept going back and forth from modern day to the past, modern day to the past. Like, I just, like, if they would have done the first 1 or 2 episodes that, you know, is, you know, when he fell in the Sarlacc pit and got dragged out, all that up into modern day, I think I'm fine. That's the only pacing issue I had with the show. Other than that, it was amazing. I love the show. My parents and my family, like, we had an amazing time watching the show, and I cannot wait for them to do season 2 Book of Boba Fett. It was amazing. But yeah, that's currently all the Star Wars movies and TV shows as right now. This month, Obi-Wan comes out, so maybe after Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and a bunch of other shows come out, we'll kind of do a updated list on, you know, the new shows. But yeah, if you guys like this video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and ding that notification bell down below, because it tells you when I put out new videos. And tell me down below, like, do you agree with this list? Do you disagree? Like, what is your favorite movie? I want to hear what your favorite movie is, and be nice in the comments, because I know how toxic and how feisty people get, but, you know, have a civil conversation on there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming along. I love you guys, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.